So the final has been confirmed for the Singapore Sevens. It will be a rematch of 2016 between Fiji and Kenya. Now in that contest, it was actually Kenya's win and the only time that they have got the gold medal, but now they want to have that redemption. They want to do it again. They've got a tough Fijian side in front of them for this game. In the preview, we're going to be looking through at what has happened up till this point for these two sides, their key players to watch out for, and then also a prediction who we think will win the Singapore Sevens. So jumping straight into it, for Fiji, they've had a pretty good run throughout Singapore. Of course, with the shortened format, it meant they only had 2 group stage matches. They were able to beat USA 38 points to 0, and then also in their follow-up game, beating New Zealand 36 points to 5. So a dominating start from this Fijian side. Then their semi-final came around just recently, took place up against Argentina. They were able to win it 33 points to 24. They were tested. They were really at times looking like maybe they were going to let it slip. But they hung on and overall still continued that momentum that they had from the group stage looking through at Kenya and what they've been able to do. They were able to win their first match up against the Irish, 17 points to 7. Then beating France, which I feel was their biggest win so far in this competition, 10 points to 7. And then in the semi-final, getting the win over Spain, 12 points to 5. This is a Spanish side that currently sit in second, by the way. So for Kenya, a side in 9th that are fighting against relegation next leg of the Sevens, for them to get that win was absolutely massive as well. But in terms of key players for the Fijians, Georgie Nisova, massive opportunity for him to continue scoring tries. And with Marcos Moneta right on his heels, he may need 1 or 2 to be able to secure that number 1 spot. Also in that Fijian lineup, I mean, you could honestly list almost the whole side from that semi-final. Talatholo, he was impressive. Sevomothanothangi, for the size of the man, he just makes offloading and finding gaps look so effortless. And then Satoranga, I mentioned about it going into the match between Fiji and Argentina. Kicks were going to be crucial. Fiji managed to get quite a few over in that match. And I feel like in this game up against the Kenyans, they're able to get those kicks too. That just puts a little bit more pressure on their oppositions. For the Kenyans, I mean, Amaitsa, he has been quite an impressive player. Oro the same, but the man who has stood above the rest is Patrick Odongo Okongo. He scored both of the tries in the semi-final up against Spain. He is also right up there in terms of leading try scorers from the circuit. And he's just one of those guys that when it looked like he was limping for the Kenyans in that semi-final near the end of the game, that could have been the big difference maker. And the reason I say that is if he doesn't take to the field in this final, I don't think Kenya have much of a chance. That is how crucial of a player he is. And don't get me wrong, they've still got the other men in the side. The likes of a Kevin Waikesa, Azati, those type of players. But Odongo Okongo, he is the X factor and the game changer that could just help them get that little bit closer to a win. But now we are already up to that stage of a prediction for this contest. It's a tricky one. 2016 was a long time ago, but that is the last time Kenya got themselves a win in a final. That was up against the Fijians, and they actually won that game relatively comfortably. So if that was to happen again, it wouldn't just be massive for this Kenyan side taken to the field, but it would be massive for Kenya as a whole. There is a chance that they get relegated off the circuit next month for the league taking place in May. And I've said it once, and I will say it again, they should have never gone from 16 teams to 12. They shouldn't have taken Kenya off the circuit. When you look at a game that Kenya are playing in, the crowd, the excitement that they bring, like, it's what Sevens is all about. And that is exactly what is said also about this Fijian side. They are 2 fan favourites. And when 2 fan favourites go head-to-head in a final, everyone gets their money's worth. Hopefully this one's going to be close. Of course, Fiji are coming in as heavy favourites, so they're expected to win this game by quite a substantial margin. But I really do hope Kenya can hang in there and make it a competitive match. My one concern for Kenya, though, is the amount of points that they've scored throughout this competition. Now, of course, they are sitting 3 wins from 3, but throughout their matches so far, they have scored 7 tries in total from 3 games. Whereas Fiji, in all of their matches, they have scored 5 or more tries. So that is a massive difference. And whether or not Fiji can do that again in the final, or whether maybe that game up against Argentina, it was such a fatiguing contest, maybe that's taken it out of them. But I am going with the safe option, Fiji to win this final, and I do think that they'll win it. I think it's going to be high scoring, but I do think Kenya are going to have a decent shot too, so I'll go about 31 points to 19. If it happens, I would be very impressed, seeing as I normally get most of them wrong, but this final, it is going to be taking place New Zealand time, 11:41 p.m. For you guys in Kenya, that will be kicking off at 1:41 p.m. in the afternoon, and we are going to be covering it on the channel as well. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Do let me know your score predictions in the comments down below as well, and I will see you all for the next one.